So, packed lineup there. The Royals did not play yesterday. So, important there. Did not lose. So, no sad post-game to play. Yeah, we won't have to sit and talk about that. It's a new day. And now, hopefully, after a much-needed day off, the Royals can find a way to, you know what, I'm not even going to say turn things around. Just get a win. Get a freaking win. Because after getting swept by the Boston Red Sox, losing 2 out of 3 to the Cardinals, getting swept by the Chicago White Sox. I mean, damn, things look so good. Things were looking so good at the end of April when they swept the Angels. Remember that? But then they lost 2 out of 3 to the A's. But then they swept Seattle on the road. And they won the first 2 games of that homestand against Cleveland. You're thinking, okay, they've won 5 in a row. And now they're playing really well in these very important games against Cleveland and Detroit. But after winning the first 2 games of that 4-game series, they dropped 2 to Cleveland. But then they won 2 against Detroit, and they won that series. And they went 4-3 on that homestand. They go, okay, could have been better, but it sure as hell could have been worse. They're in it. They're only 2 games below 500. And since then, since they won that second game against Detroit on May 9th, that put them at 19-21, they've lost 9 of 10. They were 19-21 after that Saturday win over Detroit. 19-21, now they're 20-30. And now they have to face Seattle again, which, I mean, could be good news. Maybe they just have Seattle's number. They swept them in Seattle. But they have to face Gilbert and Kirby and woo! And then it doesn't get easier after that because here come the New York Yankees. Schlittler, Rodon, and Cole. So that's not what you want to see if you're a struggling offense. That stretch of 6 starting pitchers in these next 6 games against Seattle and New York. And as we talked to Buster Olney on the show yesterday, and Buster will be in town this weekend because Monday's game against the Yankees is on ESPN, Monday afternoon game. He said, look, the rest of this homestand is pretty damn important for the Royals as far as trying to help them decide what they're going to do moving forward. Because even though the division is weak, the American League overall is pretty mediocre. They've found a way to get their backs up against the wall. Because again, for a while, well, they're only 2.5 out. They're only 3.5 out. They're only 4.5 out. Can you believe it? Well, those precious days are gone. At least when it comes to the division. Because they're 9 out. 9 out. Well, how about Detroit, though? everything we're saying about the Royals, you could say about Detroit. Detroit's lost 6 in a row. Their entire rotation's been on the IL. And Skubal has been out now. There are reports out of Detroit. And, it can't be a shock. But Detroit's sitting at 20-31. They're 9.5 out. They've lost 6 in a row. And the reports out of Detroit are there's likely no chance that they can agree to an extension with Tarek Skubal. And so they're trying to get him back before the trade deadline, healthy, to showcase him. And when he went on the IL, you thought, can they get him back and can he help them? Will they still be in contention? And the answer is no. And so now people that cover Detroit are talking about, can they get him back in time to showcase him enough so they could trade him, they could flip him. It seems like that decision is just about made in Detroit. But Detroit's not that far off from Kansas City right now. Detroit had plans to go to the playoffs. They thought they were going to win the division, or at least make a run at it. But it's been a disaster, and they've dealt with multiple injuries to the pitching staff. But the Royals don't have any kind of legitimate trade chip like Skubal that they're willing to part with. But when is it time? And this sucks. I hate even talking about this on May 22nd. But how much worse does it have to be before they start to realistically talk about jumping the trade market? Because Buster said the one bright side you could look at, and it ain't that bright. It means that they've decided they're not going to contend, and I think it's going to take a lot for them to make that decision. But Buster told us it looks like it's going to be a seller's market because a lot more teams, especially this year, especially in the American League, can try to convince themselves, oh, hey, we're in it. We can still make a run at this thing. And maybe not for a division title, but, Texas is the last wild card team. They're 24-25. And so Seattle comes to town. They're 24-27. They're a game out of the wild card at 3 games below 500. If you want to be the ultimate optimist, I'm not talking about the division right now because they're 9 out. They got to do a lot of work. For me to even really talk about that, they got to get that under 5 games. But how far are they out of a wild card spot, Jake? Don't look.
7 games.
I just gave you a little Easter egg. I said I won't talk about it. I won't talk about the division unless it's under 5 games. So I guess I could talk about the wild card because what? It's under 5 games.
4.5?
4.5.
All right. Okay.
But is that fool's gold? Those are the tough conversations that these front offices have to have. Oh, yeah, we're only 4.5, 5 games out of the wild card. But if you're the Royals, yeah, you're 4.5 out. But Texas, Seattle, Minnesota, Toronto, Boston, Baltimore, all ahead of you. But, so how do you look at it? The problem is they're not playing well enough to give you any hope that they could turn things around, what makes you think they're going to go on a stretch of winning baseball? Because what holds you back is the injury situation. When is Cole Reagans coming back? When is Chris Bubich coming back? And when they come back, what versions of those pitchers are we going to see? Is Carlos Estevez ever coming back? What's Matt Strom's situation? When is Vinny going to hit? Salvi looks like he's coming out of it, but Is he fully going to come out of it? When will they stop running the bases like they're in Little League? I don't know. And we've talked to Scott Sharp. We've heard comments from J.J. Piccolo. They're still banking on this team turning things around and coming out of it. But where will they be when that happens? When does that happen? If it does happen, how deep will the hole be? I don't know. And so that's the conversation that has to be had right now. What Buster said.
I actually have a little clip from Buster yesterday.
Bragger.
On New Day with SSJ.
All the American League teams could look at the standings and say and talk themselves into believing that they actually have a chance. I do think, by the end of if the Royals struggle here against these two very good teams that are coming in to Kansas City, then maybe that pushes them toward, okay, we got to seriously consider what a sell-off would look like. Would we try to reshape the lineup? Would we focus on some offensive players? Would we be open to moving someone like a Michael Wacha, who's going to have value in this year's trade market? And just, how far does that go? And it's clear from some of the choices made this week with a lineup that they're ready to consider alternatives. They're not just sitting status quo, waiting for Vinny to hit. He gets dropped down the lineup, and then he's out of the lineup. They're trying different things, and one of those things that is going to be an option at some point is to try to take advantage of what looks to be a pretty good seller's market, and say to the industry, okay, we're putting our players out there if they don't turn it around.
Yeah. Well, so there you go. That's why these next games against Seattle and New York are very important. Because the hole's getting deeper, buddy. We'll talk more baseball with Mike McFarland later on, unless you got something to say.
No, I mean, you asked the question, what would lead you to believe that they can turn it around? And at this point in time, blind hope. Blind hope.
Well, Vinny snapping out of it quickly and getting back to what he was last year. Bobby continuing to elevate his play. Salvi snapping out of it. Somebody playing at second base like a major league second baseman consistently. The rotation getting healthy. The bullpen getting healthy.
That's a lot of moving parts, man. But, hey.
The mistakes stopping.
Yep.
The base running blunders coming to an end. The team getting better with runners in scoring position. There's a lot of ifs that I'm going through here. Right. You could stop me whenever you want.
No, I mean, if half of those things changed, I think you'd feel better. I mean,
yeah, but that still might not be enough.
Right.
We'll talk more Royals later.
Mike McFarland will join us at 8.
You sure? Does he still want to?
Well, he was pretty short with me yesterday. My back and forth with Mac is always
he may not be jumping at the chance, but
pleasant. Like, I asked him if 8 a.m. worked. He said that's fine.
Yeah. Is it? It's probably not.
I said, at least you won't be talking about a loss, though, buddy. He said that's valid. So
we can always go back 2 days ago. And
well, I mean, loss.
Not a fresh loss.
I said at least you won't be talking about a loss from tonight.
Right, there you go.
I said that's valid.
There you go. The biggest story in sports is a sad one. Man, I spent a lot of time just watching videos and reading reaction from people on social media about the shocking passing of Kyle Busch, two-time Cup champion, and his NASCAR described him in their post, one of their sport's greatest and fiercest drivers. He was just 41 years old. Leaves a wife and 2 young kids. And it was like you just got the news like earlier in the day that he wouldn't drive this weekend because he was dealing with a serious illness. And I went back and was, looking at different people react to that, saying, man, for him not to drive, this has got to be really bad. Hopefully he's going to be okay. And by the time people were wrapping their heads around him being too sick to drive, they announced he passed away.
Yeah, I saw a report come out that said that he had been hospitalized.
Yeah.
And I saw that report, and then
did you see the video of when he was driving at Watkins Glen about 10 days ago when he was talking to his team? And he said, I guess he had a really bad sinus infection.
Right.
And he was asking for the doctor, and he said, because he told him, I need the doctor right after the race.
Yeah,
and they asked him,
have him meet me at my
they asked him, what do you want him at the car or at the bus? He goes, have him at the bus.
Right.
Just tell him I need the shot.
Right. No, it was wild, and because I saw that report come out that he's hospitalized, and then maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours later, I get a text from my buddy Chuck. You met Chuck, and saying that he had passed away, and I was stunned. I'm not a giant NASCAR fan. I pay attention, and I certainly, I enjoyed Kyle Busch. He was very polarizing.
Well, I sent you. Did you watch the 4-minute highlight reel of him making people mad?
Yeah, he's
which I always appreciate.
He's a legend, and like I said, I pay attention to NASCAR. Like he's like I said, very polarizing, and I enjoyed a lot of his fieriness. That's my kind of guy, but it was just stunning yesterday.
We'll just play this clip. This is from
last Friday, right?
Last weekend.
Last Friday, he won the truck race.
Right, his last win when he was being interviewed on the track right after the race. '26 Dover winner, his 69th career win. And so this is, and it's so sad to hear this Kyle Busch interviewed right after his last win last weekend.
And a bow in front of the fans that are all on their feet down here at the Monster Mile. And Michael Waltrip said earlier in the race that a confident Kyle Busch is a dangerous Kyle Busch. Your 69th victory in this series, your 5th right here. Why do these moments never get old, Kyle?
Because you never know when the last one is, So I know all too well, unfortunately, with the Cup stuff, but here with the truck stuff right now is it's awesome just to be a part of Spire Motorsports. Thanks to Jeff and Dan and Mr. H for the opportunity. HendrickCars.com. I'm sure it looked great out front leading the race, and it wasn't just Kyle Larson doing it. So feels good to have another Kyle being able to do it and putting ourselves in victory lane. So love coming to Dover. Always one of my favorite places to race, and definitely some managing of the fuel there, managing of the tires there, and it was an interesting, just kind of strategic battle, I guess, from the driver's seat. And, thanks to all the fans. Appreciate everybody for being here at Dover and the Monster Mile for All-Star Weekend. We thank you, and hopefully we have another great O'Reilly race tomorrow and an even better Cup race on Sunday.
So that was Kyle Busch after his last win. You never know when the last one is. Unbelievable. Rest in peace, Kyle Busch. We'll take a break. Back after this on Sports Radio 810 WHP. Welcome back to New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Thank you very much for joining us. We do appreciate it. And I would like to mention that I will be on location today from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. at one of the Hy-Vees in Lee Summit. So if you want to come out and say hello to me, Lee Summit, 310 Southwest Ward Road, today from 11 until 1. You can come out and register to win 2 tickets to the big soccer match June 20th at Arrowhead, Jake. And also register to be one of 25 lucky people to win tickets to the Hy-Vee VIP watch party for the match on June 17th. At our 325 event location down on the boulevard, just steps away from the FIFA World Cup Fan Fest. And you can get geared up because they have authentic world soccer apparel, merchandise, favorite tailgate and watch party treats, and a tremendous 5-day Memorial Weekend sale that starts today. And that's good at both Hy-Vee locations. You also have the smoker running. No, that does not mean anyone from our sales staff will be out there running. Got a couple of smokers back there talking about the smoker that provides delicious foods. Ribs for $12.99, smoked wings, pork sliders, and sandwiches served hot right off the smoker all day long at both Lee Summit Hy-Vee locations. So stop by and see me today from 11 until 1. Right now, we have a very good friend of the show who is stepping up to the plate, pinch hitting for Stan Weber, who has been detained at the Vatican. We have, isn't he at the Vatican? Okay, all right.
He's in Rome.
Right, thank you. Hey, win in Rome. Right. Am I right? Yeah. We have Jeff Chadiha from NFL Network and NFL.com. Jeff, good morning. Thank you for spending your Friday morning with us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate being up this early and
do you?
Seeing your smile. Not really, but
right.
But for you, I do anything.
Thank
Jake
you.
makes the call, and I'm coming.
You're usually hooping this early, aren't you?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Huh?
I'm sleeping.
Up?
Yeah, I gave it up. My knees gave it up.
Because that's why we were talking about this, and Jake says,
he's usually up
I don't. No, I go, are you sure that's kind of early? You don't have to tell him 7 or something. He goes, oh, no, he's usually up playing basketball with Damon Bethea. I go, really?
Yeah.
That early?
Yeah, they play at 5:30. Now, I'm not up that early anymore, but that was part of the problem. If you're playing at 5:30, you got to be up at 4:30 getting your body ready, right? Because you just can't walk in there and just start playing. You have to. It's like, and you can't do anything the night before. So it's a real process of getting ready for that. But
dedication.
I got to that. I
love of the game.
Yeah, you get older, you get smarter. You realize, I can be in pain for a couple days after this, or I can just not play.
Right.
And so that I learned the hard way.
I thought maybe you were, coming in here because Damon Bethea has been such a regular guest. He started to take over the show.
Is he been regular?
Yeah, he's been through the NCAA tournament. And now he's been on talking NBA playoffs with us.
Oh, okay. Okay. Did you tell him Michigan won?
He didn't.
You didn't like that.
He didn't have
like
a lot
that,
to say about that.
Yeah, I bet he didn't. I tried to tell him. I saw him before the national semifinals when Michigan was playing Arizona, and I told him, I said, I think it might be a 10-point or more win. He was like, oh, nah,
right.
I don't see it happen. I said, hey, man, I saw the way they beat up on Tennessee and Alabama, and it just feels like it's our year. And I saw him the next day. I said, I should have told you 15.
Right.
So you had told me that.
That's exactly right.
It's been a good year. Good year for the Mays. Good to get Sharon Moore off the headlines.
Right. And you win a national championship in basketball not too long after you won a national championship in football. So
it feels good. Now, but to answer your question, when Jake texted me last night, I did think about a few excuses I could give him before I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do it.
I get it. I would not have been mad. I would have understood.
Because really at 6:30 in the morning, it's not a lot you can say you got going on except like I just don't want to do it.
Oh, trust me. Hey.
All right?
Right.
Hey. Every excuse you thought of, I've used.
Is that right?
To try to get out of this. Like, hey, Jake,
I've heard them all.
Then I remember I'm the host.
I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, I can't say that. You're not gonna believe that one.
Right.
I gotta tell him I'm not doing it.
I don't know.
I've heard a few from him over the years, back to back, yeah, or just none.
Well, you knew him,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We got, you
Or I
know,
just wouldn't be here.
right. But that's all right. We got lots. We got lots to talk about. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah.
Rashee Rice.
You want to start with her? Wild Rice.
Yeah. That's
You got a new nickname, Wild
right.
Rice?
Well, heard some other people throw out some nicknames that we're not going to repeat. But
Okay.
so just like, okay, when you heard that, what was your reaction?
I wasn't surprised.
No.
That was that's sad, isn't it? That's sad that my first reaction was, oh, okay, here we go again.
Yeah.
Because the track record's been laid out, and what's the old line? And once people show you who they are, believe them. And
I used that one a couple of times this week. Yes, yeah.
And so yeah, it's sad that a guy who's 26 years old. He's 26. I think he's 26 now. Can't quite figure out how to do the right things and how to get on the straight and narrow. And I talked about this on the podcast I do with Seren Petro and Sam McDowell, and they asked me a similar question. I just said, you know, I think the question was asked, what should the Chiefs be thinking? And I said they should be thinking they made a mistake. And not just with him being here, in the way they've continually put faith in him to be available to them. And I think the bigger part of this story now isn't just his behavior, it's the Chiefs' willingness or unwillingness to find an insurance plan in case this happens again, because now they're stuck up against the corner. They can't really do anything. They don't have a better option, and they're stuck with him. And that, to me, is an indictment of your organizational philosophy towards these kind of players. He's shown you enough times that you can't rely on him. You need a better option, and they don't have one, and now they're going to be affected by him again.
And see, we sat here, and look, we're not in the front office. We just talk about football, and Jake, no one loves the draft and mock drafts more than Jake does. But that's why I'd sit here and listen to him mock a wide receiver to the Chiefs every mock draft, whether it was at 9, at 29, if it wasn't with one of those picks,
even at
it was
74.
always at 40. I mean, and he always qualified, well, with the thin receiving room and, the Rashee Rice thing, you can't trust him. You've got this opportunity to go out and get a receiver. You got to take advantage of it. And that's why, and he wasn't alone. Most everyone felt that way. And that's why it was so surprising that, look, not that they didn't need to replenish the defensive side of the roster. They did. But they had multiple positions they needed to address. But it just felt like receiver, they had to do something. And their answer was bring back Tyquan Thornton, which thank goodness they did that. Yeah. And that's a good move by itself. But then not spending a 5th-round pick, or not spending a pick on a wide receiver until the 5th round, I thought that was a mistake. And that doesn't mean I don't like the players they took in the first 4 rounds. It doesn't mean I don't like Mansour Delane and don't think he'll be a really good corner. But it just seemed like they were playing with fire, and they've already been burned just a little bit, because now you've got Rashee Rice, who had the knee cleaned up to get loose bodies out of there, so it wasn't a serious procedure. But anyone will tell you, Anthony Sherman and Gary Dieter will tell you, that where he needs to be and needed to be after that surgery is at Arrowhead or with one of their trainers rehabbing to get himself back in the best possible situation to help this football team. And so for the people who say, oh, he was going to miss OTAs anyway, well, then you know what? He needed to be there. And he needed to be rehabbing that knee and getting ready for the season. There's no good way you could spin this. Oh, well, he knew he was going to, miss OTAs, so why not serve the 30 now? And he just, who cares, smoke weed. And it's not about smoking weed. It's about being told this is what you have to do under the terms of your agreement, and he didn't do it. It's just the lack of accountability that he has displayed in several moments in his life that has affected his availability on the football field. It's just like why would you expect anything else right now? And why would you think this is the last thing that's going to happen? You know, like we were talking with Jesse Newell from The Athletic, and I think he's I'm not going to say he defended Rashee Rice, but I think he took the other side, maybe played devil's advocate, that it wasn't as serious as everyone was making it out to be.
What wasn't as serious? What's the other side of this?
Well, just the knee injury wasn't that serious. It's not that big of a deal.
He was going to have to serve.
He's going to serve the 30 days anyway, but now he has to serve it now. But my point is, and he said, well, and Jesse said he thinks he'll be ready week 1 and he's going to be a productive receiver, if he's out there. And so then my answer is like, why would you have faith that he'll be out there for 17 games? Why would you believe, why would you believe that this is the last thing you're going to have to deal with? Because it's always something with this guy. And on top of that, and I know it was a freak accident, but he hasn't been healthy his entire career here with Kansas City, or he hasn't been available. He's, 4 games 2 years ago, 8 games last year?
12 games the last 2 years.
For a variety of reasons. And so why would at this point, why would you expect anything different? And so you're right. The Chiefs made this bed. They got a lineup. They painted themselves in a corner by not addressing the wide receiver position more seriously. And we'd have a much different conversation right now. We'd be having a much different conversation if they'd have drafted Jordan Tyson. Yes. I'm not saying that they should have, but it would have been different.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my thought on the whole thing, because I said it the day after the draft. I didn't have a problem with them drafting that cornerback. I had a problem with them moving up to get him, because there was a chance that they would have just stayed put and they would have got him, and there was a good chance he would have fell to them there. And then you're not giving up your 74th pick and another 5th round pick. And that 74th pick, Ted Hurst was available, who Tampa Bay picked, and he's going to be a stud. And if you had Ted Hurst on this line, you would feel a little bit better now.
This is also that he demanded the Chiefs draft Ted Hurst and was furious that they didn't.
It's just an example, because the 74th pick that the Chiefs traded ended up going to the Giants, and the Giants took Malachi Fields, which would have been fine too. The kid out of Notre Dame, who I think is going to be a pretty good receiver. Yeah. But if you had
your point is, if they didn't make that trade up, it's very likely they would have taken a wide receiver sooner than the 5th round.
It's a valid point, because you have the pick to make the pick.
Right. and guess what? If the big report was the Saints were the team that were going to take Delane. And I think it was a smokescreen.
I agree with that too.
But I think they wanted Tyson all along to go next to Olave so they could help out Tyler Shook, because I think they want to see what they have with that kid, and they want to give him all the weapons possible. I think they're going to go Tyson. But just say they would have gone Delane with that pick, then you have Tyson. But the fact that Brett Veach couldn't be patient, he just had to move up. He's always got to be moving instead of just being patient and seeing how the draft plays out to you when you're sitting at 9, and Cleveland's not going to take Cleveland got their guy. They were going to take that kid anyways.
Yeah, the tackle.
Right, and so you had to wait 3 spots, and you couldn't wait 3 spots. And for me, that was my whole complaint to begin with. I think the kid's going to be a stud. I think Delane's a great pick. You didn't have to go up and move him to get him. That's my problem with the whole situation.
I'm totally with you on that, and again, as you say that, and I think about just that aspect of it. And big Brett Veach fan. I think he's done a great job, but that is his Achilles heel, that aggressiveness. And so when you combine that with the Rashee Rice situation, and then you look at how Andy Reid is when it comes to players who have problems, and they're so unwilling to let go of guys and hang on forever, believing in whatever they see in them, that it's a storm. It's a confluence of things happening here that made this what it is, right? And so I agree with you totally. Even if this stuff doesn't happen with Rashee Rice, you can't tell me that they're sitting there thinking about extending him beyond this year. And so why not go draft somebody who you want to groom and prepare? You obviously did not feel good about Jalen Royals being that type of player for you. A 5th-round pick is not going to be able to – is not likely to be able to come in and grow quickly and get on the field. And Xavier Worthy hasn't shown you that he can be that type of player. And so now you're sitting here. It's the same problem they had with the running back room last year. And we all sat here and said, what are they doing with this room? What? Well, they believe in Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt's back and blah, blah, blah. And to them it sounded good. To most people, most rational people, you're like, this is a horrible looking running back room. But they thought it could work because so much of what they believe is that Andy can fix everything, right? Andy's scheming and and Patrick can fix everything, right? So that's and they can't. You should have learned that last year. No matter how you want to think about how it ended with the ACL tear for Mahomes, they were a 6-8 team through week 14 or week 15. And so that should tell you things aren't as good, but they keep drafting and making decisions about personnel like this is 2021 and they're just sitting on this treasure trove of talent and nobody can deal with them. It's a problem.
We'll take a break because they do still have the opportunity to go out and add to the wide receiver room. And I just can't wait to run down these names to see what Jeff has to say about the available wide receivers out there that they could bring into Kansas City. We'll take a break. Back after this on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Welcome back to New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll go through the list of wide receivers at 7 because I think I want to spend some time with that. We only have 4 minutes or so in this segment. Are you paying attention to the NBA playoffs, the conference finals, heard right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB?
Yeah. You know,
Are you rooting for any certain team?
I like the Western Conference teams a lot. I like the Thunder.
How much fun is it to watch that series?
That's a fun series. But I've not watched a ton of NBA this year because all the streaming stuff, I don't know where the games are at, you know, the NBC, Peacock. But, yeah, I started getting into it because I want to see how the Spurs evolve. Wembanyama's been phenomenal to watch.
Right.
I love the way the Thunder play. And the Eastern Conference, look, my Pistons didn't get to the Eastern Conference Finals, but the Knicks are interesting. There's some compelling matchups. I'm into it. I definitely. But that first game, with Wembanyama went off for 41 and 24, I was like, man, I think we were watching the next. I mean, we already knew he was hyped up, but now I see it.
He's 22.
Yeah. Now I see it. I'm like, okay, this guy's dropping logo threes,
right,
blocking everything, crazy dunks.
They got more physical with him in game 2, and so that leads you to believe, like Jake, I will tell you, Jake, after everyone was ready to say, Spurs are going to win this series, even after game 1, Jake, you still picked the Thunder to win in 7.
Yep.
And that's what all I want out of that is I want that to go 7. Because I think a game 7 between those two teams would be unbelievable. I mean, both games, when you're watching, it's you know, some of the shots that are made and just the talent that's out there on the floor between those two, it's tremendous. And I'm with you. Like it's hard. Like my son Phil is the biggest NBA fan that I know, and he loves it, and he don't care regular season whatever, and he roots for the Houston Rockets, which just I don't know how we got there, but it is what it is. But he you know, and when he's not, you know, when he's not working and when he's not doing something else and he's not watching NBA, then he's playing NBA 2K with all of his friends, you know, online. And so he loves the NBA. But regular season's difficult to watch. Mm-hmm. It's hard to watch.
Yep.
And then then you start to get deeper in the postseason when everyone's locked in and there's no more load management and there's no more tanking.
Yep.
And you get the elite, and you get two teams like that, and like the broadcast crew kept making the comparison. This is like the basketball version of Hagler and Hearns, and just the shots that are made, and the unbelievable level of talent that we're watching. It's been awesome. And look, that first game between the Knicks and the Cavs, when the Cavs were up 22 with less than 8 minutes left.
Yep.
And that finish in the overtime was incredible. Now I don't know that if the Knicks end up winning this, I don't know what the Knicks have to offer for either of these two teams.
But you know what, though?
You gotta hope they beat each other up or something.
Oh, yeah. Well, you raised a good point about your son watching it, because I feel like young people love the NBA because it's bite-sized, digestible stuff, right?
Yeah.
They watch the highlights.
Yep.
They don't watch the whole game like we used to watch the whole game. They watch it in chunks and segments.
Watch it on TikTok.
Exactly. So it's built for that. Right?
Jake's on TikTok, sounds like.
I'm not. But they have a bigger media following than the NFL. They have of all the major sports, they have the biggest, you know, X pages and
like you
following.
you don't think that's one of the reasons the NBA 2K and
right?
How you know that's the game that he plays and that's the game that he loves and all of his friends love, and they're in leagues, and before he moved out, I'd be 2 a.m. like what.
Yeah. Well,
what is going
and the betting
on?
part of it too, right?
Yeah.
The gambling
well,
part, just like the stuff you can in a moment's notice. But
nothing quite like live gambling during the
yeah,
that's
right.
what he
yeah.
It's like having a big bowl of Skittles right in
yeah,
front of
that's
you,
right.
Just keep digging your hand in it.
I watched most of it. Like last night, I watched a good chunk
but
of it.
Does your son watch the game with you? Does he watch the game at all, the whole
Well,
game?
he's moved out now, but yeah, I know I'll text him. He'll usually text me, or I'll text him. Or like we had a family text thread, and it was during, because my daughters, they don't care. It was during the Knicks comeback, and we were trying to do something to make some kind of plans, and he's at his apartment with his buddy, who's another huge NBA fan, and so then in the middle of something, and Phil, what do you think? He goes, I think Landry Shamit's going to bring them all the way back. I'm like, leave him alone. He's zoned out of this deal. That's all he wants to talk about right now. And so he's always like, whenever I text him, like, did you see this? He already knows. So he watched, but I don't know that I think it's like what you said, like during the regular season. I don't think he's sitting there for, the entire game watching.
No.
But postseason, everything.
No. I'm watching the Spurs Thunder game, and what's his name? Stephon Castle, that big dunk. I'm like, hey, check the dunk out.
Right.
So I got to FaceTime my son in his room with the door locked. You watching the game? I'm watching it on my phone.
Right.
Eating some Chick-fil-A, whatever.
That's
He's
right.
probably going to see it like 2 minutes later.
Yeah, right.
It's happening right now.
And how old's he now?
He's 13.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. All right, we'll take a break. We'll talk some free agent wide receivers. We'll see if Jake's number one choice gets ridiculed
again
for the third time in the last 24 hours. Excited to get Jeff's reaction to
nice, Jeff.
Jake's top choice after this on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Day with SSJ is powered by Walker Medical Linen Service. Locally owned, HLAC certified, and trusted by Kansas City's top hospitals and clinics. When clean matters most, trust the hometown team. Walker Medical Linen Service. Online at walkermls.com.
Welcome back to New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We're glad to have Jeff Chadiha from NFL Network in studio with us, filling in for Stan Weber, who may or may not be meeting with the Pope today, but he's in Rome. Was he not visiting the Vatican?
I believe he
So
was.
then how do you
yeah.
know he's not meeting with the Pope or shaking his hand or something?
I don't know that.
Okay, well, then, there you go. I said may or may not.
Yeah.
I said nothing definitive.
That'd be pretty interesting.
It would be. Stan can get things done. Stan's got connections that you don't even know about, buddy.
There's a lot going on in the Vatican there.
Is
Yeah.
that right? Is he just going for fun, or is it like a K-State Jerome Tang
Did you know the
Real
wide guy?
Oh, please don't say what you want to say.
what, the Vatican is its own nation? Did
Yes.
you know that?
Oh, yeah.
Just started.
Yes, I've seen the Mission Impossibles, Jake. You ever seen that? That's actually
Yeah. Not too far off.
okay. Here,